Hello everyone. In this video, I would like to talk about what could be considered a sensitive issue. I'd like to talk about food, basically what they're putting in our food supply. I know that some of you will find this, if not most of you will find this hard to believe, and I've stayed away from talking about this, and usually I stay away from talking about things or exposing things until I'm absolutely sure. And if I'm not sure, I always say I believe or I think. In this case, I have no doubt that it is happening. Food for thought. So the video is going to be about our food supply and what they're really putting in it without us really knowing, which is mostly insect juice, insect meat, and camouflaging it as something that is, promoting it as something that is good and healthy for us. Before I play you a couple of videos discussing this, the system is not going to come out and tell you outright what they're doing. You have to look for clues. The first video, okay, so before I go into the videos, I like to say that, I like to remind people that there is definitely life after death, and that there is a light inside the body, whether you're aware of it or not. The light exists, and that light is what most people call the soul. So at this point, if you're new to my channel, I'd like to show you how to easily access or see for yourself, verify for yourself the light inside. So if you close your eyes, and you tap, not too fast, the side of your eye, on the other side, you'll see a circular light. Okay, the camera just went up, just to make sure. Okay, just in case I missed it. I saw it veering to the right. I want to make sure I capture that. So if you close your eyes and tap the side, on the other side of your face, you'll see a circular light. That light is not there by accident. It is real, absolute. It's what people call the soul. What you do, what you consume, has a big impact on what you remember, what you know, how you feel, depression, happiness, all that. What you consume is important. What you consume measures your intelligence. There's a reason why they say the expression, what you are what you eat. What I have come to understand, come to be aware of, is because I've taken my diet to the next level, I'm able to sense things, people and non-physical things at a deeper level. And recently, in the sleep state, my soul told me that okay, so when I say soul, I'm talking about the light inside, okay? The soul, the light inside is divided into different elements depending on what experiences you've had in past lives. People, you are eternal. Whether you remember or believe it or not is irrelevant. The truth can't be changed by a belief system. It's an absolute. You have always been and will always exist. You are everything that has ever existed and will ever exist, whether you know it or not. Okay, let's not get into details. So I was told that I'm getting smarter. Just basically means that I'm becoming more aware of the nature of existence, and so I have to push myself a little harder. And so I'm putting this information out because I know it's happening, and I know that A lot of you will find this hard to believe, but I think it's time to put this information out. I've been alluding to it, and in some cases I've talked about it in other videos. They're putting chemicals in your food. That I don't think a lot of people disagree with. But it's not just chemicals, it's also insect or sneaking insect meat into our food supply, especially the meat that we eat. It's not 100% chicken, it's not 100% beef. People are eating insects. Food coloring is insect juice, by the way. That's undeniable. You can look that up on the internet easily. So if they're being open about insects now, and this isn't rocket science, people around the world, except for the West, have been eating insects because of so-called nutrients and protein level, and it's safer for the environment. The problem with consuming flesh or things that crawl, things that move, is that they too have a light inside. Some people find that hard to believe. We're not really special as human beings, or even as extraterrestrials, if you are aware that they exist, and they do exist. These things, okay, I'll go into it now. Everything is alive. Whether it has a soul or not is irrelevant. Everything is becoming. Recently, the whole question of the beginning with the split with source consciousness and what most people call God. I don't like the word God because it's so diluted. We are literally a part of source, a part of that consciousness. We were not created. What I am understanding now is that well, maybe I'll get into that later. But in any case, I want to begin by saying that they're putting much more than chemicals in our food. And let's begin with the insects. I want to begin by talking about insect meat. But let me summarize here so that you know where I'm headed with this. Insect meat is already being used in America. Now they're trying to make it into a normal thing. So once we look at the insect agenda, then I want to show you a video about human meat, how they're putting human meat into our food supply, and we don't even know it. Now, I've watched a few videos about the latter many years ago. I think it must have been about 4 years. Well, I guess it hasn't been that many, maybe 4 years ago. One of the videos I couldn't find, it was about this black guy who is not a vegetarian, who eats meat, but he tries to limit it, and it came from him. I'm like, whoa. And he was talking about graves, how there isn't enough space to bury people, and they're putting human meat in our food supply, and we don't know about it. So we'll get to that. So let's first look at Bill Clinton promoting the consumption of insects. Okay. It's taking a bit of time to play. I have two screens here. Let me see if this one works. Okay, it's starting.
All I have to do is announce the winner. From McGill University, Aspire.
International Business School, it says. 2013 HULT, H-U-L-T Prize winner. They're talking about innovation, business innovation, to solve the world food crisis.
I congratulate Mohammed Ashur, Gabriel Mott, Jesse Pearlstein, Shabita Soor, Zev Thompson for winning. If I said to somebody 60 days ago, I love this prize and I'm going to go give the prize this year to someone who wants to grow, process, and sell edible insects, to actually empower rather than devour urban communities, some people would laugh. But the truth is, 2.5 billion people worldwide eat insects seasonally already. They're an excellent source of protein and nutrients, and they want to formalize existing informal markets. This is very innovative. Products have been made already. They want to leverage what we know already about existing foods and use it differently. They have truly thought outside the box, and they have a proper business plan to execute their strategy. And it is very specific to address food security. So this is pretty impressive. I wish them well, and I ask you to remember what our previous winner said, that we should give some help to all 6 of the finalists. Congratulations, and thank you very much.
Okay. Eating insects is not a good idea. It's not wise. As I said earlier, moving things, animate things, have a light inside. When you consume it, they can possess you. Possessing meaning that their light goes inside you and resides and cause havoc and confusion. Do you ever wonder why we, or some people, have a difficult time knowing the basic questions of life? Is there life after death? Oh, nobody knows. No, you don't know. Or the whole alien question. I mean, things like that. It's because we have been genetically engineered, confused, messed with, and to undo this, we have to watch what we eat. Personally, and speaking from personal experience, a few years ago, I got the energy of the insect. The lights came out. I felt better. That was in Peru when I took ayahuasca. I felt better, but I didn't actually see it come out. I just felt lighter. The participants at the ayahuasca ceremony, one of the participants, 2 of the participants were the ones who told me after the next morning during our post-ayahuasca conversation session. And that I guess one in particular was very intuitive, and he saw the insect light coming out. I explained all this in my books. So when people talk about, people don't know certain things because it's not an accident. And people are shocked because their brains and souls are wired, set in a certain way. But these things are very real. There are dangers to eating certain foods. The food crisis in the world. What food crisis? The food crisis, it seems like there's a food crisis because of what you're producing. You're focusing on feeding animals instead of using it to feed yourselves, the plants and the grains and so forth, feeding it to animals, and you slaughter the animals. Do you know how big the stomach is? It's the size of your fist. How much food do you need? We only consume so much because we have, people don't want to believe this, that we have parasites, dark light. And when I say parasites, I mean dark light that can manifest in many ways in the body. So when you eat, that's what you're feeding. You're feeding the parasites. So that's why when you fast, you feel so much better. You have so much clarity. So it's happening. Insects are in our food. It's been documented. You can check it out. Now the system want to normalize it. The World No, the United Nations is pushing this hard, and they've been pushing this hard for many years. Again, if you ever wonder why most of the world is crazy, it's because of what we put inside, for the most part. Let's now let's move on to them sneaking human meat into our food supply. Okay, before we go into them sneaking companies sneaking human meat into our food supply, again, I know this is hard to believe, but it's another reason why you should minimize the consumption of meat. Or if you feel like you're not there yet, I would suggest that um, you just eat a lot less of it, or you go buy your local farm that I wouldn't recommend it at all, but if you're not quite there yet, that's what I recommend. By the way, when I began to question this, when I saw these videos, I was like, no way. It wasn't until I went to Mexico, because I kept asking myself, is there any truth to this? When I went to Mexico, that's when I learned that the consumption of humans is happening in other realms. I had a non-physical a meeting. I was not a meeting. I was talking to a few entities, and I can't remember precisely how they looked like. They looked humanoid, and I posed a question, and they looked at me like, "Are you serious? It's not a big deal. It's normal to eat humans." So that pretty much answered my question. If other entities are eating humans, and we are supposedly having a food crisis, then wouldn't it make and the fact that we're running out of graves, wouldn't it make sense to put human meat? There's so much of it in our food supply. Let's watch the first video. It's called "They're Putting Human Meat in Our Food Supply."
I'm going to talk about how they're putting human meat in the food supply. There's lots of evidence, and it's actually documented.
Do some fast food restaurants put human meat in their meat? And
All of them is very short answer. All of them.
They're all putting humans in their burgers. I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In their burgers.
Yep.
Does that affect the consciousness of people, or is in some negative
Yes,
way?
people are more aggressive.
It's not just that people are more aggressive when they eat certain types of flesh. When you eat human meat, it's clear to me that you would become heartless, a pretender, politicians, for example, they can lie easily. It's as if they don't have a soul. So things happen when you consume different types of flesh. At this point, I would say that animal consumption is much, much safer, even though I wouldn't recommend it, than the consumption of human meat. And I absolutely believe that people are consuming it without knowing they're consuming it.
And
It's
so
very
would that
easy.
be
It's very
any
easy.
fast food chain that's
It's
owned
very
by?
easy. It's very easy. It's very easy. Once you are feeding dogs, it's very easy. Once you are feeding dogs with raw meat, they are aggressive. The same stuff with people. Nothing less, nothing more. Very easy peasy.
wow, that's gross. So I mean, what are they cloning these humans underground bases and dumping them in some kind of pit or something to process them?
Yeah.
How are they getting the meat?
Into a pit, as you said.
Wow. And what about say like some defunct super soldier?
And this is a company. It's called Synomex, and it's aborted fetal tissue. And the way it works, we have our cells in our body are human, so our taste receptors work better when there's human DNA. So they get the human DNA from an aborted fetal cell, so it doesn't take very much, but it just enhances the flavors and stuff. And there's some foods that have it. Remember this Illuminati card game? The Frankenfood? You are what you eat card. And yeah, these are some of the companies: Kraft, Mug Root Beer, Dazo, Ocean Spray, Lifesavers, Tropicana have aborted fetus cells in them.
Research the word Synomix.
Give me a second.
Okay? Synomix is a transnational.
Sorry for the interruption. I had a call, an international call, very important. So let's go back to the video.
Company that brings flavor enhancement for products for transnational companies like Pepsi, Kraft, Nestle, Campbell's. And what they've been doing is that they grabbed kidney cells from human aborted fetuses. So they grabbed these kidney cell lines, las células sanguíneas de los riñones de bebés abortados, and in laboratory they replicate these cells and they put them in all your products. Le ponen los productos. What products are we talking about? Well, we're talking about your Gatorade. Drink some aborted babies. Yes, seriously. We're talking about Lay's chips. Yeah, that's why they taste so good, don't they? Pepsi products, all right? Tropicana juices, Dasani water, Minute Maid. We have to not consume anything from these companies. And tell them that we're going to participate in their insane rituals.
Stop. Oh my god. Stop doing that. But yeah. And it's called HEK29C. And Soylent Green is just code for human fetus. Or human meat. Look at all the companies it's in, and yeah. These pro-lifers are mad that they're putting aborted fetus cells. Soylent Green, where do you think the protein comes from? It comes from fetuses. This is a company called Synomex, and we can actually look up Synomex. And it says products from Pepsi and other major food producers are manufactured using the tissue of aborted fetuses. And this is actually true. Look at Wikipedia. Synomex was founded by prominent biochemist Lubert Stryer in 1999 and May 2001. Alright? And this is the guy that I think helped make sucralose, which was originally cancer medicine. And it says Synomex developed patent flavor enhancers by using the Friard, I can't even pronounce it, taste receptor based assay systems propriety, which have been previously expressed in human cell culture in HEK29 cells. And we'll look up what in the HEK29 293 cells, human embryonic kidney cells 293. So they're putting human fetal cells. It even says so, HEK293, and it says Sonomus contains HEK293. So they're putting this fucking rotten dead babies in a food. And I have a good video coming up, but I just want to show you something first. I'm going to show you about this rabbi that admits to putting dead humans in the food, but I'm going to show you Sherry Shriner had a conversation with...
Okay, the rabbi he's talking about, I don't know how much of that is true, so I'm going to skip over that. You know, some of this, let me just focus on the things that I feel are true. What am I doing here? Let's, okay, so the next video. Oh, okay, before we go on to the next video, I just lost my train of thought. Okay, let's move on to the next video. Now, this guy talks about personal experiences as well as other things.
But what I would like to talk to you today is about, it doesn't matter whether you call them the Nazis or the Cabal or the Illuminati, New World Order or whatever, or I just usually call them the dark side. But there's a big movement to get us to eat other humans. And I heard some military men today talking about what they're doing, because Cargill is the main company. They have 3 processing plants in America. One of them is over here in Minnesota. And they take the children and process the bodies into food and put it into the hamburger meat. And in the MyLabs, they have these very large tanks. And basically when they're finished gang raping the children and killing them, then they basically just throw the bodies into the tanks, and then they're processed with other chemicals into like a paste. And then that paste is taken to the plants, and there's 13 executives from Cargill that are heavily involved. I mean, not just processing the children's bodies into food, but they also have a very long history of raping children. Because these type of men just absolutely love to have sex with children. And, well, in their mind they call it sex, but we call it rape. You know, they feel very powerful when they have especially a 4, 5, or 6-year-old girl or boy drugged, and they feel very powerful when they're killing these children. And this one little girl that I met, she was in heaven when I met her, but we had done some energy work and healing for her while she was still here, named Jaquanda from Houston, Texas. And she was a little 13-year-old African-American girl, just a beautiful, beautiful girl. She was targeted because she has large breasts, and she was raped 712 times before they killed her. It was the 712th man that choked her to death during rape. And that's that's not really normal, because most of these children are raped between, let's say, anywhere from between 50 and 200 times each. You know, because they use their special drugs and their special means, and they have this energy, I don't know, I would call it a weapon, but they can make a man have a very, very hard erection that will last for hours without the need for drugs. And because of the, manipulation, and that way they can murder more children. But Cargill, as of today, Super Bowl Sunday, 13,917 children have been put into the Cargill meat supply. Now, I've talked about this before, because a lot of these children were Mexican children, and Mexican children are prime target, and so are African children and Asian children. Those are the three biggest groups that are targeted. 60% of all these children came from Mexico. And, I'm sorry, 60% of the meat that was processed has gone to Mexico. But now, over the past few months, 40% of this meat, of the 13,917 children, has stayed here in America. And what happens is because 99% of Americans have eaten human. And there is a big movement for that. Like I said, the Nazis, I call them the Nazis or the dark side or whatever, because it affects our energy fields. It's not natural for humans to eat other humans. And there are specific energies that are created. Like vegetarians, if someone only eats vegetarian food, plants, there's an energy associated with that. And then with somebody like me, I eat meat and, plants, mostly turkey and chicken, and then there's an energy with that because I eat other animals. But then there's a different type of energy when humans eat other humans, and it's just not so. It really affects our energy field. And what they're doing now with the children, 40% of the meat.
I'm going to pause it here for a second. It affects your ability also to protect yourself spiritually. Remember, in the non-physical, the light inside, if they can't touch your light inside, then they can't touch your physical body. That's the main overall reason why I feel comfortable in doing these exposures, because I know they can't touch me. Now, if they can lower your energy through your food, you better believe they're going to be able to have you reincarnated into this world or a worse world.
Like I heard it was an army man, overheard an army man talking about how that, and then by the way, I went back and verified it, started checking people's DNA. I went to the CEO of Cargill, looked at his DNA, and then verified. But he was talking about how 13 states in the western part of America, south and west, are now serving human children that are gang raped to other school children. And the western states are California, Oregon, Washington, Montana, Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Texas, Oklahoma, Nebraska, Alabama, and Mississippi. And also, there's another way that Americans have been eating humans, and that's in soda. And that's the really big difference between Republicans and Democrats. Republicans don't like abortion because they're running child trafficking, and they like children to be born so they can gang rape them and murder them later. Democrats like abortion because they can sell the aborted fetuses to soda companies, including PepsiCo. Pepsi and 3 other soda companies are putting the embryos, I think they're called embryos, aren't they? Anyway, whatever's left over from an abortion, they take that and they process it and they put it into the soda. And, I checked my own DNA and I pulled it up, and I think it was 3 times that I've eaten, unknowingly, because most of us are doing this unknowingly, except for the reptilians. They, but one was 14 years ago when I was just bought meat in the store, and when I worked for the Allen County Fraternal Order of Police, one of the volunteers served human hamburgers for dinner that night. And I wondered about it because it tasted really weird. And it's funny because these people were really rich, but they would, when they go out to buy food for dinner for everybody, they spend like the 99-cent hamburger product, like fake hamburger meat. People make $60,000, $70,000, $100,000 a year. I'm going to take you to dinner. I'm going to spend 50 cents. Of course, most Americans are like that. And I'm sorry, I'm just really bitter. And so, I'm going to go back and do my report separate for this weekend because they had a big Super Bowl party, and many children were gang raped this weekend. And but I just wanted to let you know about Cargill, and 13,917 children have now been put into Cargill's hamburger meat supply. Thank you. I hope you had a nice
I'm at the Cargill website, cargill.com, and they are the world's leading supplier of human meat.
Okay. Now, I'm going to not play this next video because the authenticity was more real in the first part of the video. I don't know to what extent the details of the videos that I showed, but one thing for sure, it is happening. I don't know what the detail, what these people have said, details, but it's happening. Look at movies. They're putting this information in movies. There was a movie with Tom Hanks. Yes, I think it was Tom Hanks. It was these people were chosen. It was going back between time, the past and the future. Were told they were doing something great, and they were basically headed to their slaughter. So again, I don't know what the details of these videos, if the details of these videos are 100%, but one thing for sure, they're doing it. The overall adding human meat to the food supply, I have no doubt it's happening. So you want to be mindful, as the guy said, that when you consume flesh, human meat, unknowingly or knowingly, it does create a different energy about you that affects you emotionally, physically, spiritually. You're not protecting yourself spiritually anymore, or as much as you could. So I just wanted to put that out there so that you would consider it, at least. Good luck on your journey back to source consciousness.